Hello there and welcome to World News Program, streaming to you live on All 24 News. I'm your host, Karim Zachary, and up next are the top stories. 85 Palestinians were killed in 8 new Zionist massacres in Gaza within just 24 hours. More casualties occurred from targeting displaced tents and civilian homes. Many bodies and wounded were taken to Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital. That's next. Also coming up, UN expresses cautious hope for UNRWA funding revival despite doubts about US relief plans as Gaza genocide leaves hundreds of thousands of orphans and unnamed babies. Also ahead, 5 martyrs in Zionist raids on southern Lebanon towns. The Lebanese resistance escalate bombings of military sites and Zionist settlements in Upper Galilee. And majority of Islamic countries declare Monday as the start of Ramadan, and the genocide in Gaza casts shadow over Ramadan joy amidst famed preparations. Stay tuned, we've got all the details right after the break. Well, hello again and welcome to the program. First off, in our topical news, Zionist occupation forces committed 8 new massacres in Gaza within just 24 hours, resulting in 85 deaths and 130 injuries. Palestinian Ministry of Health reports over 31,000 martyrs since October 7th, mostly children and women, with 72,654 injured. Many remain trapped under rubble as Zionist forces obstruct rescue efforts. The Zionist forces massacred displaced people in Khan Yunis, Gaza. At least 15 were killed, including children, and dozens of others were injured. Bombings across Gaza led to 37 deaths and 118 injuries, while homes in Nusayrat camp were targeted, causing more casualties. Here's Zahra Farjani with the report.
The death toll is rising after the recent Zionist attacks on the Gaza Strip. By air and land and a series of fire belts, the occupation aircraft continues its ruthless aggression for the 156th day in a row. In Khan Yunis, at least 10 Palestinians, including women and children, were killed on Sunday in the Zionist artillery shelling on a tented camp in the southern town of Al-Mawasi, where thousands of displaced Gazans have been sheltering.
They told us this is a safe area. Last night, there was artillery fire that started in the evening, and it was close to us. But we were afraid to get out that they might hit us, so we stayed inside. I went with my family. Around dawn, they fired here. The first 2 people were injured. My father was injured, and my sister's head was injured. While we were trying to get out, another shelling was fired.
Last night we decided to leave the place at 6, but at 5 exactly they fired the first rocket. My nephew's family's 9 members. They were all killed.
The Zionist airstrikes have also targeted the central Gaza Strip. Many homes in the Nusayrat camp have been bombed, resulting in the martyrdom and injury of a number of Palestinians. The intensified bombings have also hit the Jabalia refugee camp in the north of the Strip, leaving homes destroyed and residents displaced.
Thank God it was just the destruction of the house. There were no casualties. Our neighbors were also affected. Most of them were pulled out of the rubble. Thank God, all will be rebuilt.
The occupation forces' targeting of tents inhabited by hundreds of displaced Palestinians reflect the character of the Zionist soldiers, disavowing all international humanitarian laws and norms in the face of defenseless Palestinian people.
37 martyrs and 118 wounded were taken to Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Bala, Gaza. 5 Palestinians were killed and dozens injured by occupation forces near Kuwait roundabout in a Zaytoun neighborhood while waiting for aid. They were all transferred to Al-Aqsa or to a Shifa hospital, I'm saying. The occupation airstrike on Abu Nasser family's house in Beit Laia project north of Gaza caused further casualties. The United Nations is cautiously optimistic about Western countries resuming funding for UNRWA. Doubts grow over American relief plans, including building a Gaza port for aid delivery by sea. The story by Islam Said.
After a 4-month suspension due to the allegations against some UNRWA personnel, 16 countries have restarted their funding to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees. The agency took action by terminating the contracts of those accused and launching an internal investigation. This comes as Gaza faces a worsening humanitarian crisis, with residents on the verge of famine. Western countries like Sweden, Spain and Canada are stepping up again to help.
We are announcing that we have found this agreement with UNRWA. You will find the details in the press release. We have had contacts with them as late as this morning. And based on this agreement, we are now saying of those 82 million, we are going to be dispersing now, so basically early next week, the first tranche of 50 million euros.
Sweden plans to start with $19 million, gradually releasing a total of $38 million this year. With a tighter control over spending, Spain pledges an additional 20 million euros on the top of its previous 3.5 million euros commitment. Canada is also resuming funding and donating 300 cargo parachutes to aid operations in Gaza, while the United Nations is cautiously optimistic about the funding resumption. The United States proposes building a port in Gaza. However, doubts linger about its effectiveness in averting a humanitarian catastrophe.
Like many stories of Palestinian babies, an unnamed girl orphaned by Zionist bombing in Nusayrat camp awaits her fate at Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Gaza. She has been in the children's nursery for 78 days since her birth on December 23rd. No family members have visited her or inquired about her. Islam Said again.
In the face of adversity, a Gazan infant emerged into a world marked by tragedy. Her mother lost her life during a Zionist attack. Sumai's miraculous survival defied all the odds. However, the fate of the rest of her family remains uncertain, resonating with the struggles faced by many children in Gaza.
Until now, the condition of the infant has somewhat improved. However, there is no means of communication with her family, as her mother is a martyr, and we are unaware of how to reach her father, as his fate remains unknown.
The remaining hospitals in Gaza are grappling with immense pressure. In the neonatology department, concerns intensify as 2 to 3 premature infants share a single incubator, prompting alarms from both doctors and families who find themselves with no alternatives in this critical situation. Children in Gaza bear the brunt of the conflict as the Zionist entity continues its direct and systematic targeting, employing barbaric actions. The escalating numbers of children killed, mutilated, orphaned and starving are increasingly distressing, with a significant portion of the death toll comprising children and women in Gaza. The urgent need for international attention and humanitarian aid is underscored by this dire situation.
The Palestinian Foreign Ministry calls for international sanctions on the Zionist entity to enforce compliance with international law, protect civilians, and meet basic needs. It emphasizes the need for a global awakening to end the occupation's control over Gaza and international peace efforts held hostage. The ministry condemns the entity's persistent violations of international law, including its disregard for civilian protection and refusal to comply with the International Court of Justice. Algeria and Sierra Leone jointly called for a humanitarian ceasefire and aid entry into Gaza. Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf met with his Sierra Leonean counterpart Timothy Mousakaba in Algiers to discuss the matter on Sunday.
We express our satisfaction with the high and close coordination between Algeria and Sierra Leone within the framework of the Security Council through full harmony and convergence in positions on these issues, including the question of Palestine and the question of Gaza.
We have stood together to condemn what is happening in Gaza and in Rafah for the decimation of over 30,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children. We're calling for humanitarian ceasefire, for access to humanitarian aid for the people of Gaza.
The heads of diplomacy of Algeria and Sierra Leone affirmed their countries shared perspectives on current international issues and their coordinated efforts within the African member states of the UN Security Council.
يتزامن وجود سيراليون والجزائر في
Sierra Leone and Algeria are simultaneously present within the Security Council as non-permanent members. We have discussed several files on the current agenda of the Security Council, led by the Palestine file and the Gaza file.
Incidentally, Algeria and Sierra Leone are two of the three African representatives in the non-permanent category of the United Nations Security Council. Since January 1 this year, Algeria and Sierra Leone have worked on many files. We've worked to represent the African continent and to represent humanity in the world's premier institution, council that is responsible for global peace and security.
And in other news, Zionist forces conducted aggressive raids on southern Lebanese towns, resulting in the martyrdom of 5 members of a Lebanese family. Simultaneously, sirens blared in numerous Zionist settlements along the northern border of occupied Palestine, as Hezbollah announced the targeting of the Maroon settlement within numerous Katyusha rockets.
The battle intensifies on the Lebanese front following the repeated Zionist massacres targeting civilians in border villages. In response, Lebanese resistance steps up shelling of military sites and Zionist settlements. On Sunday, over 30 rockets were launched towards the Meron airbase in the occupied Upper Galilee, prompting sirens from the occupation forces, anticipating further attacks.
In support of our steadfast Palestinian people in Gaza and in solidarity with their courageous and honorable resistance, and in response to the enemy's attacks on the resilient southern villages and civilian homes, including the recent assault on the town of Kharb Salim, resulting in the martyrdom of family, the Islamic resistance launched dozens of Katyusha rockets in the Maroon colony at 9:15 a.m. on Sunday, March 10th, 2024.
Before the recent response, another attack targeted the Rimaye sites directly, along with an assault on an Arar barracks in the occupied Golan Heights by 2 assault drones.
In support of our steadfast Palestinian people in Gaza and in solidarity with their courageous and honorable resistance, Islamic resistance fighters targeted the Rimaye site and its equipment with appropriate weapons at 9 a.m. on Sunday, March 10th, 2024, inflicting a direct hit.
These developments occurred amidst ongoing Zionist escalation, targeting villages and homes in southern Lebanon. The latest attack occurred on Saturday night and Sunday morning, targeting the town of Kharb Salim, resulting in the martyrdom of 5 civilians, 4 of whom were from a single family, with 9 others wounded and extensive damage to dozens of surrounding homes.
And in other news, most Arab countries, including Algeria, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Yemen, Palestine, Lebanon, and Egypt, announced Sunday that Monday marks the beginning of the fasting holy month of Ramadan, confirmed by moon sightings. However, Oman and Jordan declared Tuesday as the first due to non-crescent sighting. Australia, Brunei and Japan stated Monday as the continuation of the lunar month of Sha'ban, with Tuesday marking Ramadan's start. Meanwhile, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand and Singapore announced Tuesday as the first day of Ramadan. Ramadan celebrations are subdued in most of Gaza due to ongoing Zionist aggression, while some prioritize preparations for the holy month as a form of resistance. This year, fasting falls sadly in occupied West Bank and Al-Quds amidst genocidal war on Gaza. The war has overshadowed Ramadan, complicating humanitarian situation with famine and health system collapse. Zahra Fajani again.
As the sacred month of Ramadan approaches, Palestinians find themselves amidst a somber backdrop, a consequence of the genocidal war that has claimed the lives of over 30,000 of their people. Additionally, 1.4 million individuals have been forcibly displaced from their homes, seeking refuge in the southern city of Rafah, which appears to be the last semblance of safety in an enclave plagued by dwindling resources and worsening humanitarian conditions.
I believe that this Ramadan will add a new tragedy and a torment to the already existing tragedies of the Palestinian people, because the child or elderly person who fasts needs to eat, when breaking the fast that is, which is not available, neither economically nor otherwise. The situation is very difficult, and anyone who says they can endure the pain of this month financially, spiritually, mentally, and in terms of shopping, look, all this in vain. No one can afford to buy anything whatsoever.
Despite the overwhelming challenges and the dire famine crisis gripping the Gaza Strip, the spirit of resilience and unwavering faith among its residents remains steadfast. They are determined to observe the holy month, fasting and gathering for prayers, even in the face of widespread destruction that has befallen many mosques.
We came to Rafah because they told us it was safe. And now Ramadan is approaching. I do not know how one is supposed to live or to fast. I don't know what one will do during the month of Ramadan. This is the situation of all the people in Gaza. Look at them. Everyone is displaced.
Meanwhile, across the West Bank and occupied Al-Quds, amidst escalating tensions and clashes between Zionist border police and Palestinian communities, there remains a glimmer of hope. Many yearn for a sense of calm and stability to prevail during Ramadan in Al-Quds, aspiring for an end to the injustice, violence, and blockade.
And on the occasion of the holy month of Ramadan, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune addressed the nation, extending Ramadan wishes for blessings and spirituality. He congratulated Algerians on the start of Ramadan, coinciding with March 11, 2024, emphasizing the significance for the Arab and Islamic community. The president also urged citizens to observe fasting and prayers with devotion during this sacred month. President Abdelmajid Tebboune emphasized the need to enhance national unity and solidarity, highlighting the importance of collective responsibility in building a stronger, and more united society. President Abdelmajid Tebboune also celebrated the inauguration of the Great Mosque of Algiers, hailing it as a symbol of the nation's greatness and wisdom. He noted its facilities aligned with its noble mission.
يهل علينا غدا شهر رمضان بما يحمله من خير وبركة على أمتنا العربية والإسلامية، سائلين الله أن يعيننا على صيامه وقيامه على الوجه الذي يرضيه. ونحن نستقبل نسمات شهر الرحمة، فإن كل جهود الدولة منصبة على أن ينعم المواطنون بثمرات التعافي والاستقرار الذي تعرفه بلادنا، مما يدعونا من باب تقاسم المسؤولية الجماعية إلى العمل جميعا على تقوية الجبهة الداخلية وتلاحم الأمة، تنمية الروح الوطنية والمواطنة.
President Abdelmajid Tebboune on the occasion also expressed Algeria's solidarity with Palestine, urging the international community to stand against oppression and respect the sanctity of Ramadan for Muslims. He extended Ramadan greetings to the Algerian diaspora, whether at home or abroad. President Abdelmajid Tebboune conveyed blessings and hope for a month of Ramadan filled with goodness for all.
يحل علينا رمضان هذه السنة وقلوبنا تعتصر ألما لمعاناة أشقائنا في فلسطين المحتلة، وهي مناسبة نجدد من خلالها دعوتنا للمجتمع الدولي أن يتحمل مسؤوليته أمام هذه الإبادة الجماعية، وأن يراعي حرمة هذا الشهر عند الأمة الإسلامية.
And in a different story, President Abdelmajid Tebboune also instructed the payment of grants during a cabinet meeting to farmers affected by recent floods in Algeria. The grant, estimated at 50,000 dinars, is to be distributed within a week. Additionally, he ordered measures to advance structured mining projects and modernize the central pharmacy system in public hospitals to ensure medicine availability. The president emphasized strict measures against economic operators contracting with public hospitals, particularly those supplying medicines for cancer patients. Furthermore, he allocated a cabinet meeting to study the issue of new cities scientifically and technically. Algeria and Sierra Leone have agreed to open embassies in both Algiers and Freetown. The decision was made during a meeting between Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf and his Sierra Leonean counterpart Timothy Musikaba in Algiers. This move follows the recent visit of Sierra Leonean President Julius Maada Bio to Algeria earlier this year, and reflects the commitment to strengthen historic bilateral relations between the two countries. Let's catch up on more stories making headlines around the globe.
The Libyan dialogue session sponsored by the League of Arab States emphasized the need of a unified government to oversee elections. Attendees included key Libyan figures like President Mohammed al-Menfi and Speaker Aqila Saleh. The session emphasized unifying sovereign positions and rejecting external interference in Libya's political process. A second round was agreed upon urgently to finalize the agreement, acknowledging the League of Arab States' role in facilitating dialogue. On Sunday, Ukrainian forces reported shooting down 35 out of 39 drones launched by Russia into Ukraine overnight. The attacks targeted central and southern regions, with missile strikes hitting Kharkiv and Donetsk in the east. The humanitarian crisis in Port-au-Prince, Haiti is worsening, with gangs attacking hospitals and infrastructure, like the airport closed. Threats to food supplies increases as violent clashes between gangs and police erupt in the main square of the capital. In youth sports, Algerian gymnast Kylian Amour secured a bronze medal on Sunday at the ongoing Gymnastics World Cup in Azerbaijan. Amour clinched third place in the floor exercise competition with a score of 13.266. This bronze adds to Amour's achievements in this edition, following her earlier gold medal win in the uneven bars competition.
Well, that's the end of our news. Thank you for tuning into our program, and until next time, take care and have a blessed Ramadan.